Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto became the successor of Dr. Doom. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The rain did not cleanse, it only weighed them down. The Valley of the End was a scar upon the earth, a monument to a history that Naruto Uzumaki was frantically trying to prevent from repeating. The massive stone statues of Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju loomed over the roaring waterfall, their stony gazes locked in an eternal, silent judgment. Between them, the air was thick enough to choke on, saturated with the smell of ozone, blood, and the sulfurous burn of demonic chakra. Naruto stood on the water's surface, though stood was a generous term. He was hunched over, his body screaming in protest. The crimson cloak of the nine-tailed fox bubbled around him, a volatile, corrosive shroud that burned his skin even as it healed him. One tail swished behind him, agitated, splashing the water into steam. His blue eyes had bled into a pharaoh red, the pupil a vertical slit of raw animosity. Opposite him, standing on the opposite bank beneath the statue of Madara, was Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke looked like a nightmare birthed from the depths of a twisted genjutsu. The cursed seal of heaven had consumed him. His skin was gray and leathery, his hair grown out into a thick, wing-like mane, and from his back sprouted two grotesque, hand-shaped wings. The Chidori chirped in his left hand, not the bright, hopeful blue of Kakashi's lightning, but a blackened, melancholic screech of dark energy. Naruto, Sasuke's voice was distorted, a hollow echo that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Just give up. It's over. Shut up. Naruto roared, the sound tearing from his throat with a guttural growl that wasn't entirely human. I'm not gonna let Orochimaru take you. I'm gonna break every bone in your body if that's what it takes to drag you back. You act like you have a choice, Sasuke said, raising the dark Chidori. You don't understand. You never had parents to lose. You don't know this darkness. I know the darkness of being alone. Naruto screamed back. He began to gather the chakra in his right hand. The red bubbles of the Kyuubi's cloak spiraled, mixing with his own blue chakra. It formed a sphere of chaotic purple energy, a vermilion Rasengan. And I know that being alone is worse than pain. I won't let you go there, Sasuke. Sasuke's eyes, the Sharingan spinning wildly within the dark scara, narrowed. Then die, loser. Sasuke leaped. He moved with a speed that defied physics, the cursed seal pushing his body beyond the limits of a genin. He was a blur of gray and black lightning. Naruto didn't hesitate. He launched himself forward, the water beneath his feet exploding into a geyser from the force of his jump. He was a streak of burning red fire. They met in the center of the valley, directly between the clasped hands of the statues. Chidori! Rasengan! The collision was instantaneous, but to Naruto, it felt like time had shattered. Usually, when jutsus clashed, there was a struggle for dominance, a pushing and pulling of energy. But this was different. The darkened lightning of the cursed seal, fueled by hatred and corrupted nature energy, met the volatile, malice-filled chakra of the Nine Tails. It wasn't just a clash of power, it was a clash of fundamental forces that should not have mixed. A sphere of blinding light expanded from their point of impact. The water of the waterfall evaporated instantly. The stone fingers of Hashirama and Madara crumbled into dust. Sasuke! Naruto screamed, pushing more chakra, more will, more everything into the sphere. He could feel his skin tearing, the fox's cloak eating him alive to fuel the attack. I have to save him, I promised Sakura. Sasuke grit his teeth, the wings on his back flaring as he poured every ounce of his killing intent into the lightning. But then, the light changed. The blinding white core of their struggle turned a deep, bruising violet. Then, it collapsed into a singularity of absolute black. Warning! The voice of the Kyuubi echoed in Naruto's mind, sounding genuinely panicked for the first time in Naruto's life. Boy! Pull back! The space. It's fracturing. Shut up! Naruto thought back. I almost have him, you fool! This isn't a jutsu anymore. It's a tear. The black sphere between their hands pulsed. Sound vanished. The roar of the waterfall, the chirping of lightning, Naruto's own screaming, it all cut out, replaced by a high-pitched ringing that vibrated in the marrow of Naruto's bones. Naruto looked at Sasuke. For a split second, the rage vanished from Sasuke's face, replaced by confusion. Sasuke tried to pull his hand back, but he was stuck, magnetized to the anomaly. The gravity of the black sphere inverted. Instead of pushing them apart, it bit down on reality. A crack, like a spiderweb on a mirror, appeared in the air between them. The crack glowed with colors Naruto had never seen, colors that hurt to look at. Naruto! Sasuke shouted, his voice finally breaking through the silence, sounding terrified. The vacuum pulled. Sasuke, having the aerial advantage of his wings, managed to flap backward, the force ripping feathers and skin from his back as he desperately clawed at the air to escape the pull. Naruto had no wings. He had only his momentum. The black sphere expanded, swallowing Naruto's arm. He felt no pain, only a terrifying cold that numbed his soul. Sasuke! Grab my hand! Naruto yelled, reaching out with his free hand, ignoring the fact that he was being devoured by the air itself. Sasuke stared at him. He hovered there, suspended by the updraft and the chaotic gravity. He looked at Naruto, half consumed by the void, and then he looked at the path to freedom. Sasuke turned his head away. I'm sorry, Naruto, Sasuke whispered, the words barely audible over the returning roar of the wind. Sasuke let the recoil of the explosion blow him backward, toward the safety of the cliffside. Naruto's eyes widened. The betrayal hit harder than the Rasengan ever could. He watched his best friend fly away, leaving him to the darkness. Sasuke! The void snapped shut. The Valley of the End was empty, save for a lone Uchiha lying unconscious in the rain, and the lingering static of a boy who no longer existed in their world. There was no time in the tunnel. Naruto felt like he was being stretched into a wire, thin and taut, spanning galaxies. He saw flashes of images that made no sense. A man in a suit of iron flying through the sky. A green monster roaring at a tank. A Spider-Man swinging between towers of glass that scraped the clouds. His body was burning. The Nine-Tails was roaring, wrapping Naruto in layers upon layers of chakra to keep their shared vessel from disintegrating into stardust. Hold on, flesh bag. Kurama snarled, his voice echoing in the emptiness. If you die, I die, and I refuse to die in this godforsaken emptiness. Naruto couldn't answer. His mind was fractured. All he could see was Sasuke's back. Sasuke turning away. Sasuke choosing revenge over him. Why? The question looped in his mind, spiraling into the dark. Why wasn't I enough? The stretching sensation snapped. The heat vanished, replaced instantly by the sensation of slamming into solid rock at terminal velocity. Crack. Naruto hit the floor. He didn't bounce. He simply broke. The impact shattered the stone beneath him, creating a crater 3 meters wide. The air left his lungs in a wheezing gasp, accompanied by the wet crunch of ribs. He lay there, staring up at a ceiling he didn't recognize. It wasn't the sky. It was high, vaulted stone, adorned with green banners bearing a strange, angular sigil. Gothic arches loomed overhead, and the lighting was dim, provided by flickering torches and the cold hum of machinery. It was freezing. Not the wet cold of the rain country, but a dry, sterile chill that seeped into the bones. Naruto coughed, and blood splattered onto his chin. The red chakra of the Kyuubi flickered weakly around him, trying to knit his bones back together, but the transition through dimensions had exhausted the beast. The healing was slow. Painful. Ugh! Naruto groaned, trying to push himself up. His right arm, the one that had held the Rasengan, felt like dead weight. It was blackened, smoking slightly. Alert, a metallic voice boomed, bouncing off the stone walls. Dimensional breach detected in the Great Hall. Sector 4. Naruto forced his head up, his vision swimming. Surrounding the crater were figures. They looked like samurai, but wrong. They were made of metal, polished to a dull gray sheen. Their faces were expressionless faceplates, glowing with green eyes. They held staves that crackled with yellow energy. Who? Naruto rasped, forcing his legs to work. He wobbled, standing in the center of the crater. Who are you guys? Where is Sasuke? Identify yourself, one of the metal men commanded. It leveled its staff at him. I am. Naruto panted, wiping the blood from his mouth. He flashed a defiant, bloody grin. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm gonna be the Hokage. Subject uncooperative, the machine stated. Hostile energy signature detected. Neutralize. 3 of the machines moved. They didn't run like ninja. They surged forward with the hydraulic hiss of pistons. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto yelled, crossing his fingers. Usually, a puff of smoke would produce a dozen copies. This time, the smoke sputtered. Only 2 clones appeared, and they looked sickly, their forms flickering. My chakra. Kurama's voice was faint. The atmosphere here, it lacks nature energy. It's stale. I cannot replenish quickly. The clones charged anyway. One threw a punch at the lead machine. Clang! The clone's fist crumpled against the metal chest plate. The machine didn't even flinch. It backhanded the clone with a force that shattered the duplicate instantly into smoke. What? The real Naruto gasped. Even a clone should have dented steel with his strength. The second machine raised its staff. A beam of yellow plasma fired, catching the second clone in the chest. It didn't just pop, it incinerated. Naruto gritted his teeth. Rasengan! He forced the spinning ball of chakra into his left hand, lunging at the nearest machine. He slammed the sphere into the robot's torso. The metal twisted and groaned. Sparks flew. The robot was sent skidding back 10 feet, a massive dent in its chassis. Ha! Naruto triumphed for a split second. Then, 6 more machines stepped out from the shadows. And from the balcony above, a dozen more aimed rifles at him. Target possesses superhuman durability and energy projection, the lead machine droned. Switching to suppression mode, the machines around him slammed the butts of their staves onto the stone floor in unison. Tum! A ring of green light erupted from the floor, encircling Naruto. He tried to jump, but the air suddenly felt like lead. He crashed back to his knees. It was a gravity seal. No, not a seal. Technology. It was pure weight pressing him down, flattening him against the stone. Let me go! Naruto struggled, his forehead pressed against the cold rock. The red chakra flared, trying to push back the gravity, but he was running on fumes. Stasis field active, the machine confirmed. Await Lord Doom. Naruto struggled for another minute, scrabbling his fingernails against the stone until they bled, roaring in frustration. But the weight was absolute. Slowly, the exhaustion of the battle, the dimensional tear, and the gravity field caught up to him. His vision faded to black. The last thing he heard was the heavy, rhythmic footsteps of metal boots approaching on stone. When Naruto woke, the pain was gone. He sat up sharply, expecting to be in a hospital bed in Konoha. He expected to see Sakura yelling at him, or Kakashi reading his book. Instead, he was in a cell, but it wasn't like the cells in the TI department. The walls were smooth, gray metal. There were no bars, only a shimmering field of translucent energy blocking the single exit. The bed was a slab of metal with a thin mattress. Naruto checked his body. His jacket was gone, leaving him in his mesh shirt and orange pants. His injuries were healed. Kurama had done his job while he slept, but he felt sluggish. Heavy. He walked to the energy barrier and poked it. ZZT. A shock jolted his finger, numbing his hand up to the elbow. Ow! Damn it! Naruto shook his hand, glaring at the field. Hey! Is anyone there? Let me out! Silence. I said let me out! Naruto yelled, pounding his fist against the metal wall. I have to get back. Orochimaru is gonna. Silence. The voice came from a speaker hidden in the ceiling. It was deep, commanding, and laced with an imperiousness that made the hairs on Naruto's neck stand up. It reminded him of the third Hokage, but without the warmth. This was the voice of a man who was used to the world bending to his whims. The intruder is awake, the voice continued. Bring him. The energy field flickered and died. Before Naruto could make a run for it, 2 massive Dumbots stepped into the doorway. They were larger than the ones before, their armor painted a dark green with gold trim. Walk, the left one ordered. Naruto weighed his options. He had no weapons. His chakra was refilling, but slowly. He didn't know where he was. Fighting his way out blind seemed like a bad idea, even for him. Fine, Naruto scowled. Take me to your boss. I've got some words for him. They marched him through the castle. Naruto's anger slowly gave way to awe, though he tried to hide it. The place was immense. They passed through halls lined with tapestries depicting battles of medieval knights fighting alongside giant robots. He saw windows that looked out onto a sprawling city of Gothic spires and smokestacks, nestled in a valley surrounded by snow-capped mountains. It was beautiful, but terrifyingly orderly. There was no trash in the streets, no chaos. It looked like a machine made of stone and people. Where is this? Naruto muttered. Is this the land of snow? The Doombots did not answer. They reached a set of massive double doors made of dark oak and reinforced with iron. The doors groaned open without anyone touching them. Naruto stepped into the throne room. It was a cavernous space, lit by the green glow of magical sconces and the natural light filtering through a stained glass window depicting a woman holding a child. At the far end of the room, atop a dais of black marble, sat a throne, and on the throne sat a monster. He was encased in armor that looked like a fusion of medieval plate and futuristic technology. It was polished silver, reflecting the green light of the room. A green tunic and hooded cloak draped over the armor, fastened with gold clasps. But it was the mask that froze Naruto. It was a metal faceplate, rigid and unmoving, scowling eternally. Behind the eye slits, Naruto could see human eyes, brown, intense, and calculating, but the skin around them was scarred, ravaged. This man exuded power. Not the explosive, leaking power of the Nine Tails, but a controlled, dense pressure. It was the feeling of a mountain staring down at an ant. Step forward, the man said. He didn't shout, but his voice carried clearly across the massive hall. Naruto walked to the center of the room, stopping 10 feet from the dais. He refused to bow. He crossed his arms and glared. Who are you? Naruto demanded. And why did your tin cans attack me? The man leaned back in his throne, resting a gauntlet chin on his fist. You fall from the sky, tearing a hole in the fabric of my reality, destroy 3 of my centuries, and you demand answers from me? The man stood. He was tall, imposing. I am Victor von Doom, he announced. Ruler of Latveria. Monarch into whose domain you have so rudely intruded. Latveria? Naruto frowned. Never heard of it. Is it near the Fire Country? Doom paused. He tilted his head slightly. Fire Country? You are not from this earth, are you, Earth? Naruto blinked. I'm from Konoha. The village hidden in the leaves. Look, mister, I don't have time for this. My friend, he's in danger. I need to get back. Just point me toward the exit. Doom descended the steps of the dais. His cape flowed behind him like liquid. There is no exit, boy. The rift you created has closed. The energy signature you emitted, it suggests a trans-dimensional displacement. You are universes away from your Konoha. Naruto felt the blood drain from his face. Universes? No. That's not. Pervy Sage said summoning works across distances, but this is not summoning, Doom stated, stopping a few feet from Naruto. He pulled a device from his belt, a small, intricate scanner, and waved it over Naruto. Fascinating. Your cellular structure is saturated with a form of bioenergy I have not encountered. And Doom looked at the scanner, then at Naruto's stomach. You are a vessel. Naruto stiffened, his hand instinctively going to the seal on his abdomen. How do you know that? My sensors detect 2 distinct life forces, Doom said calmly. One is yours. Bright, chaotic, foolishly stubborn. The other, ancient. Malevolent. A prisoner. Doom put the scanner away. You are a jailer of a demon. He's a fox, Naruto snapped. And stay away from it. A fox, Doom mused. He began to circle Naruto, his metal boots clicking on the stone. You are powerful, for a child. But you are raw. Undisciplined. You fight like a brawler, swinging a hammer when you should be using a scalpel. I fight to protect my friends. Naruto yelled, the anger bubbling up again. That's what gives me strength. My will of fire. Will of fire? Doom stopped in front of Naruto, looking down at him. A poetic sentiment. And where is this will of fire now? Where are your friends? The question hit Naruto like a physical blow. You failed, Doom said coldly. I didn't. You are here, Doom gestured around the room. They are not. You fought to save someone, did you not? The readings from the rift indicated a struggle. Two energies clashing. You lost. I didn't lose. Naruto screamed, his eyes flashing red. It was an accident. I was going to bring Sasuke back, but you did not. Doom pressed, his voice like a sledgehammer. You relied on emotion. On the power of friendship. On abstract ideals, and the result is that you are stranded in a world that does not care if you live or die, and your friend is left to whatever fate you tried to prevent. Naruto trembled. Tears stung his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. The truth of it was agonizing. Sasuke was gone. Orochimaru had won. You have spirit, Doom admitted, his tone softening by a fraction of a degree. I watched the security feed of your capture. Even when outmatched, even when crushed by 10 times the gravity of Earth, you tried to stand. You refused to yield. Doom turned his back on Naruto, walking toward a large window. Stubbornness is a resource, boy. But without direction, it is merely stupidity. Naruto wiped his nose. So what? Are you gonna kill me? Doom looked out the window, surveying his kingdom. I should. You are a threat. A variable I cannot account for. And I despise variables. He turned back to face Naruto. However, I see potential. You possess a will that rivals my own. And that is a rarity in this multiverse of cowards and fools. Doom extended a gauntlet hand. I offer you a choice, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looked at the metal hand. What kind of choice? You can rot in a dungeon, Doom said simply. I will extract the beast from your belly, harness its energy to power my cities, and discard your husk. You will die a failure, forgotten by a world you couldn't save. Naruto swallowed hard. The threat was delivered so calmly, he knew it wasn't a bluff. Or? Naruto asked. Or Doom's eyes bored into him. You become my ward. You bow to me. You accept me as your teacher, your sovereign, and your master. I will teach you the sciences that govern the stars. I will teach you the sorcery that bends reality. I will take that raw, chaotic will of yours and forge it into iron. Why would you do that? Naruto asked, suspicious. Because the world needs order, Doom proclaimed, his voice rising. And order requires strength. You have the raw materials to be a king, boy. But you are currently a peasant playing at being a soldier. Doom stepped closer. You want to return home? You want to fix your mistakes? You want to save your friend? Yes, Naruto whispered. Then you need power, Doom said. Not the power of a demon fox given to you by chance. But power earned. Power understood. Power that belongs to you. Naruto looked down at his hands. He thought of Jiraiya, teaching him the Rasengan. He thought of Kakashi, teaching him teamwork. They had taught him to be a ninja. To endure. But endurance hadn't been enough. Being a ninja hadn't been enough to stop Sasuke from leaving. Being a ninja hadn't been enough to stop the Akatsuki from hunting him. Maybe he needed to be something else. Naruto looked up at the masked figure. This man was dangerous. Naruto's gut told him that Doom was a villain. But he was also honest. He wasn't trying to trick Naruto with smiles like Orochimaru. He was offering a transaction. Submission for power. If I do this. Naruto started, his voice steady. If I learn from you, can I go back? When you are ready, Doom nodded. When you have mastered what I have to teach. When you can look at the multiverse and not blink. Then, you will have the power to tear the sky open and return. And when you do, you will not be a beggar pleading for your friend to return. You will be a conqueror commanding him to obey. Naruto closed his eyes. He saw Sasuke's back one last time. I'm sorry, Kakashi-sensei. I'm sorry, Ero-sennin. I can't come home yet. I have to get stronger. Stronger than any Hokage. Naruto opened his eyes. The blue was hard like ice. Slowly, painfully, Naruto Uzumaki lowered himself to one knee. He placed his fist on the cold stone floor of the throne room. Teach me, Naruto said. Dr. Doom looked down at the boy, the Jinchuriki, the exile. For the first time in years, beneath the iron mask, Victor Von Doom smiled. Rise, my student, Doom commanded. Today, Naruto Uzumaki dies. and the heir of doom begins his ascent. Outside, thunder cracked across the Latverian sky, signaling the start of a storm that would shake the multiverse. The library of Castle Doom was not designed for comfort. It was designed for intimidation. The ceiling vanished into the gloom of vaulted stone arches, 50 feet overhead. The walls were lined with bookshelves that required automated ladders to navigate, filled with tomes bound in the leather of extinct beasts and the synthetic polymers of the 31st century. The air smelled of ozone, old parchment, and the cold, metallic scent of absolute authority. Naruto Uzumaki sat at a desk made of black obsidian. He was vibrating. "I don't get it," he shouted, slamming a thick book shut. Dust motes danced in the dim light. "What the hell is a quantum entanglement variance? And why does it matter if I want to punch someone in the face?" From the shadows of the upper balcony, a green cape flourished. Dr. Doom descended, not by walking, but by manipulating the magnetic fields of his armor to glide silently to the floor. "It matters," Doom's voice resonated from behind his iron mask, "because brute force is the tactic of a peasant. A king understands the underlying structure of reality and bends it to his will. If you cannot understand the physics of the punch, you will never be more than a brawler." Naruto groaned, dropping his head onto the cool stone of the desk. It had been 3 months. 3 months of hell. He had expected training. He had expected push-ups, sparring, maybe dodging giant robots. He hadn't expected homework. "I'm a ninja," Naruto complained, looking up with dark circles under his eyes. "I'm supposed to learn jutsu. Ninjutsu. Taijutsu. Not calculus." "You are a primitive," Doom corrected, walking past the desk and running a gauntlet finger over a stack of books. "Your chakra is merely a biological interface for energy manipulation. You use it instinctively, like a child playing with fire. Here, we use knowledge. In Latveria, we do not hope for miracles. We build them." Doom stopped and turned to face the boy. The green lenses of his mask whirred as they focused. "However, your progress is disappointing. My patience is vast, Naruto, but it is not infinite. You read at a 3rd grade level. Your grasp of mathematics is non-existent. You possess the energy reserves of a small star, yet you lack the intellect to light a candle without burning the house down." Naruto clenched his fists. The insult stung because he knew it was true. He had always been the dead last. "I'm trying. The words float around. I learn by doing, not by reading." Doom stood silent for a long moment. The silence stretched until it was uncomfortable. "Show me," Doom said suddenly. "Show you what?" "Your learning process. You claim to learn by doing. Demonstrate. Create a technique." "Now." Naruto blinked. "Right here? In the library?" "Proceed." Naruto stood up, shaking out his legs. He felt the familiar hum of his chakra. It felt different here in this dimension, heavier, harder to pull, as if the air itself was resisting him. But he had gotten used to the resistance. It made his coils stronger. He formed the cross-shaped seal. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. Smoke filled the area around the desk. When it cleared, 10 Narutos stood in a circle, all looking at Doom with defiant grins. "See?" The original Naruto pointed to himself. "I make clones. We tackle the enemy. We learn how they fight by fighting them all at once. If a clone gets hit, I know how it happened." Doom did not look impressed. He looked calculating. He walked up to one of the clones. The clone flinched, but held its ground. Doom raised a hand, and a small electrical discharge zapped the clone's shoulder. Poof! The clone vanished. Naruto winced slightly. "Hey! That stung a little." "The memory transfer," Doom murmured. It was a statement, not a question. When the construct dissipates, the synaptic data it collected returns to the host. Yeah? Naruto scratched the back of his head. "I mean, I get their memories. Like if they spy on someone, I know what they saw. If they train, I get the feeling of it." Doom froze. The air in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The doctor turned slowly to face the original Naruto. "You receive the memories?" Doom asked, his voice dangerously low. "You retain the experience?" "Yeah. That's how I learned the Rasengan. I had a clone spin the chakra one way, and I spun it the other. You, imbecile. Naruto bristled. Hey, you possess the ultimate learning tool in the multiverse, Doom's voice rose, echoing off the vaulted ceiling. A capability to fracture your consciousness, process information in parallel, and reintegrate it instantly. You could learn a decade's worth of material in a week. And you used it to spin a ball? Naruto blinked. I never thought about it like that. Kakashi-sensei said it divides my chakra, so it's dangerous to use too many for too long. Kakashi is a fool with limited vision, Doom scoffed. He thinks in terms of combat stamina. I think in terms of intellectual conquest. Doom swept his arm toward the mountain of books. Create them, Doom commanded. Huh, clones. As many as you can maintain without losing consciousness. Fill this room. Naruto hesitated, then grinned. Finally, a challenge he could understand. He closed his eyes and reached deep into the burning pit of the Kyuubi's chakra, mixing it with his own multi-shadow clone jutsu. The explosion of smoke was massive. It rolled through the library like a fog bank. When it cleared, there were not 10, nor 100. There were 1,000 Narutos. They sat on the bookshelves, hung from the chandeliers, and crowded every inch of floor space. Excellent, Doom nodded. Now. Clone 1 through 100 Physics. Clones 101 through 200, Political History of the 20th Century. Clones 201 through 300, Thaumaturgical Theory. The rest of you. Mathematics. The Narutos looked at each other, then at the books. Get to work! Doom barked. 1,000 groans echoed in the hall, but they moved. For the next 4 hours, the only sound was the frantic turning of pages. Then Doom raised his hand. Dispel. Wait, the original Naruto said, looking pale. If I pop them all at once, the headache is gonna be. Dispel. The clones popped in a cascading wave of white smoke. The feedback hit Naruto like a physical train. His eyes rolled back in his head. Blood gushed from his nose. He screamed, a high-pitched sound of pure neural overload, as 1,000 books worth of equations, dates, and theories were forcibly shoved into his brain in a single second. He collapsed to the floor, seizing. Idiot! Kurama roared in his mind, frantically filtering the influx of data to keep Naruto's brain from melting. You're trying to download a library into a toaster. Doom stood over the convulsing boy, watching the readouts on his HUD. Neuroplasticity. 400% above human norm. Synaptic recovery, instantaneous. The demon's healing factor is repairing the neural pathways as fast as they rupture. Doom crossed his arms. Get up, Naruto. Naruto lay on the cold stone, gasping. His brain felt like it was on fire. He could see equations floating in the air. He knew who Napoleon was. He understood the basic principles of thermodynamics. Naruto rolled onto his hands and knees, vomiting bile onto the floor. I hate you. Good, Doom said. Hate is a motivator. Clean this up. Tomorrow, we do 2000. Year 1, the breaking of the stone. The days bled into nights. There was no sleep, only meditation. There was no food, only nutrient paste designed by Doom to maximize caloric intake for the brain and chakra network. Naruto didn't just learn, he evolved. With the shadow clone method, Doom compressed a doctoral education into months. But it wasn't just book learning. Doom was ruthless. In the mornings, Naruto studied. In the afternoons, he was thrown into the dungeon of challenges. The dungeon was a shifting maze of hard light holograms and Doombots. Doom programmed it to simulate the fighting styles of Naruto's world based on Naruto's memories, but enhanced. Naruto fought a holographic Zabuza who moved at the speed of sound. He fought an Orochimaru who couldn't be killed, only dismantled. You rely too much on the Rasengan. Doom's voice boomed over the intercom as Naruto was swatted into a wall by a robotic simulation of Gaara's San. It is a blunt instrument. Refine it. Compress it. Naruto dodged a spike of sand. He looked at his hand. The Rasengan was powerful, but it was loud and bright. Physics, he thought, the memories of 100 clones flashing in his mind. Pressure equals force divided by area. Naruto didn't make the Rasengan bigger. He made it smaller. He compressed the swirling storm into a ball the size of a marble. It turned white-hot, screaming with a high-pitched whine. Rasengan, bullet! He flicked his finger. The tiny sphere shot forward like a railgun round. It punched clean through the sand shield and blew the head off the robot. Adequate, Doom said. But you hesitated. Next, the lesson of order. 6 months in, Naruto broke. It wasn't the training. It was the isolation. He missed the noise of Konoha. He missed Ichiraku ramen. He missed people. He stormed into the throne room, ignoring the guards. I'm done! Naruto yelled. I'm not a robot. I need to go outside. I need to see the sun. Doom sat on his throne, reading a datapad. He didn't look up. You are free to leave the castle grounds. You are not a prisoner, Naruto. You are a student. If you wish to waste time, go. Naruto blinked. Wait, really? Go. Naruto ran. He burst out of the castle gates and down the winding road toward the capital city of Doomstadt. He expected to see oppression. In his mind, Doom was a villain. He wore a scary mask, lived in a dark castle, and spoke about conquering the world. Naturally, the people must be miserable. They must be like the people in the Rain Village, huddled in fear. Naruto reached the city square. He stopped. The streets were clean. Cobblestones shone as if polished. Flowers bloomed in window boxes on every house. Children, clean, well-fed children, were playing tag around a fountain that depicted Doom holding up the world. Naruto walked through the market. He saw a baker handing a loaf of bread to a woman. Put it on my tab, Mrs. Muller, the baker smiled. The doctor's stipend comes in tomorrow. Bless the doctor, the woman said, clutching the bread. How is your son? Top of his class at the Academy of Science. He's going to work in the energy sector. Naruto wandered for hours. He looked for the cracks. He looked for the ENBU watching from the shadows. He looked for the beggars. There were none. He sat on a bench, confused. A Doombot patrolled past him. A little girl dropped her doll in front of the robot. The killing machine stopped, bent down with surprising gentleness, picked up the doll, and handed it back. Be more careful, citizen, the robot droned. Thank you, Mr. Robot. The girl chirped. Naruto felt a presence beside him. He didn't need to look to know it was Doom. The man had teleported. It confuses you, Doom said, standing tall, his cape rustling in the wind. You look for the tyranny. You look for the suffering. They're happy, Naruto whispered. But you're a dictator. You killed people to get here. I brought order, Doom corrected. Before me, Latveria was a war-torn hellhole ruled by petty barons who sold their own people for scraps. There was freedom then. The freedom to starve. The freedom to be murdered by bandits. The freedom to die of preventable diseases. Doom gestured to the city. Now, there is no crime. There is no poverty. There is 100% literacy. Every citizen is fed, clothed, and educated. They are safe. But they're not free, Naruto argued, though his voice lacked heat. They can't speak against you. They do what you say. And what would they say? Doom asked. Would they ask for the return of the barons? Would they ask for chaos? Doom sat on the bench next to Naruto. It was a surreal sight. The armored monarch sitting next to the teenager in an orange-trimmed gray tunic. Naruto, tell me of your village. The Hidden Leaf. It's great, Naruto said automatically. We have the will of fire. Everyone protects each other. Is that so? Doom tilted his head. You were an orphan. Did the village protect you? Naruto flinched. That was different. They were afraid of the fox. And the Uchiha boy, Doom continued. Sasuke. Did the village protect his family? Naruto went silent. The Uchiha massacre. It was done by Itachi, but the rumors, the politics, and the Hyuga, Doom pressed. I have read your memories. They brand their own kin with slavery seals to protect their secrets. Is that the will of fire? Stop it, Naruto muttered. Your hidden villages are mercenary camps, Doom stated coldly. They rely on war to sustain their economy. If there is peace, your ninjas have no work. So you create conflict. You send children to kill children. You call it duty. I call it inefficiency. Doom stood up. I do not rule for profit. I do not rule for sadism. I rule because I am the only one competent enough to do so. I demand obedience, and in exchange, I give them paradise. That is the social contract of Liberia. Naruto looked at the playing children. He thought of Haku. He thought of the endless graves in Konoha. Is it possible? Naruto asked quietly. To have this, without the Iron Fist? Many have tried, Doom said. Captain America. The Avengers. The Jedi of Legends. They fight for liberty. And in doing so, they allow chaos to fester. They save the world, then leave it to rot until the next villain rises. I do not just save the world, Naruto. I fix it. Doom turned to walk back to the castle. Decide, Naruto Uzumaki. Do you want to be a hero who saves the day and leaves? Or do you want to be a king who ensures the day never needs saving again? Naruto sat on the bench until the sun went down. When he returned to the castle, he didn't go to his room. He went back to the library. Year 2, the Sorcerer's Apprentice. The second year changed everything. Naruto had mastered the basics of science. He could build a rudimentary Doom bot. He understood the physics of chakra. Now, Doom introduced the variable that made him a god. Magic. Magic is not chakra, Doom explained. They were deep in the lower sanctums of the castle, in a room inscribed with glowing runes. Chakra is internal energy, molding physical and spiritual stamina. Magic is external. It is the manipulation of ambient energy from the dimensional fabric. So, nature energy? Like Sage Mode? Naruto asked. He had told Doom about the toads. Similar, but infinitely more complex. Sage Mode draws from the immediate biosphere. Magic draws from the multiverse. From the principalities. The Vishanti. Sidorak. Ragadar. Doom handed Naruto a book. The Tome of Jurna. Cast the shield spell. The Seraphim Shield. Naruto read the incantation. He tried to mold his chakra like he always did, by the hoary hosts of Hoggoth. Naruto yelled, thrusting his hand out. Boom! A shockwave of red energy exploded from his hand, throwing Naruto backward into a stone pillar. Again, Doom said unmoved. It doesn't work. Naruto coughed, wiping soot from his face. My chakra keeps interfering. It tries to eat the magic energy, then stop fighting it, Doom snapped. Your chakra is dense. It is a roaring ocean. You cannot sip from a delicate stream while a tsunami rages inside you. Do not separate them. Fuse them. Naruto frowned. Fuse them? He closed his eyes. He felt the Kyuubi's chakra, hateful, hot. He felt his own, bright, warm. And he felt the ambient magic of the room, strange, tingly, purple. He didn't try to mold the magic. He grabbed it with his chakra. He used his wind nature, the cutting sharp chakra, and wrapped it around the magical concept of binding. He visualized the chains of Uzumaki that Kushina, his mother, had supposedly used. Doom had found records of the Uzumaki clan in his multiversal database. Crimson bands of Sidorak. Naruto muttered, but then he twisted the words. He felt the wind chakra shredding the reality barrier to pull the magic in. Wind-style integration. Red ribbons of energy erupted from his hands. But they weren't smooth like Doctor Strange's or Doom's. They were jagged. They crackled with wind blades. They looked like chains made of red lightning and solid ruby. The chains lashed out, wrapping around a dummy target. Crunch. The chains constricted, and the wind blades spun like chainsaws. The dummy was reduced to sawdust in seconds. Doom watched, his arms crossed. Inelegant, Doom critiqued. But effective. You have bastardized a spell of binding into a spell of annihilation. Typical. It worked, didn't it? Naruto grinned, panting. It did, Doom admitted. But magic is not just for destruction. It is for the mind. Doom walked over and placed a hand on Naruto's forehead. The Ovid mind transfer, Doom said. This is a technique I learned from a race of aliens. It allows you to transfer your consciousness into another being. Or, in your case, to project your will into the mind of another, like the Yamanaka clan? Superior. The Yamanaka leave their body vulnerable. This technique allows for dual processing. You must learn to shield your mind, Naruto. The Akatsuki, this Itachi you speak of. He uses genjutsu, visual illusions. Doom's eyes glowed behind the mask. You will not just break his illusions. You will trap him in his own mind. You will make his nightmare you. For the next 6 months, Naruto sat in a sensory deprivation tank. Doom attacked his mind with telepathic assaults. He forced Naruto to relive his worst memories. The swing. The glares. Sasuke leaving. Naruto had to build a fortress in his mind. He visualized Konoha. But not the real Konoha. He built a mental version of Latveria. A fortress of iron will. When Doom's mental probes attacked, they didn't find a scared boy. They found a Doombot army. They found the Nine Tails clad in armor. Get out! Naruto screamed mentally. In the physical world, the glass of the deprivation tank shattered. Naruto floated in the water, gasping. He looked at Doom. I blocked you. You did, Doom nodded. Your mind is no longer a chaotic storm. It is a vault. No Sharingan will penetrate it. The final exam, the Vibranium Crucible. 2 years had passed since Naruto fell from the sky. He was 16 now. He had grown taller, his shoulders broader from the enhanced gravity training. His baby fat was gone, replaced by the lean, hard muscle of a soldier. He stood in the center of the training arena. The floor was scorched. You have learned much, Doom announced from the balcony. Science. Magic. Politics. Warfare. Am I ready? Naruto asked. He didn't yell anymore. His voice was calmer, deeper. We shall see. The arena floor opened. A massive machine rose. It was a Doombot, but it was different. It was painted black and gold. It hummed with the power of a miniature nuclear reactor. This is the Doombot Prime, Doom said. It possesses all of my combat data. It has countermeasures for your wind style. It is immune to standard genjutsu. Its armor is reinforced with adamantium. Doom leaned over the railing. Defeat it. You have 5 minutes. If you fail, the self-destruct sequence will trigger, and this entire wing of the castle will vaporize. Including you? Naruto didn't panic. He didn't sweat. He adjusted his gloves. They were new, gauntlets made of a titanium alloy, with seal arrays etched into the knuckles. 5 minutes, Naruto said. Generous. The Prime Bot charged. It moved faster than the eye could follow, a blur of death. Naruto didn't dodge. He stood his ground. Just as the bot's fist, capable of punching through a tank, was about to connect with his face, Naruto whispered, Kawarimi, short-range teleportation. It wasn't a log substitution. It was a magical blink. Naruto vanished in a puff of purple smoke and reappeared directly behind the bot. He placed his hand on the bot's back, right over the reactor core. Seal art, chakra disruptor. He pumped his own chakra, mixed with the techno-magical virus he had coded, into the bot. The bot froze. Its system screamed as the foreign energy confused its logic gates. But the Prime Bot was adaptable. It vented the energy, spinning its torso 180 degrees to blast Naruto with a chest repulsor. Naruto anticipated it. He was already moving. He leaped into the air, creating 4 shadow clones. Formation B. Naruto commanded. The clones surrounded the bot. They didn't attack. They pulled out scrolls and slammed them onto the ground. 4 pillars of stone shot up, trapping the bot. Earth style, Earth corridor. The bot smashed the stone effortlessly. But the split second was all Naruto needed. He was floating above the bot, gravity boots flaring. In his right hand, the Rasengan formed. But it wasn't blue. It was a dark, metallic gray. He had incorporated iron sand into the rotation, held together by magnetism. Magnet release. Rasengan. He dove. The bot looked up, firing its eye lasers. Naruto didn't dodge. He held up his left hand. A magical glyph appeared, the Seraphim's shield. The lasers bounced off the red barrier. Naruto slammed the magnetic Rasengan into the bot's chest. Crunch. The iron sand ground against the adamantium. Sparks showered like fireworks. The magnetic field disrupted the bot's internal servos. The reactor wavered. It's not enough, Naruto realized. The armor was too thick. Think. What would Doom do? Doom doesn't just hit hard. Doom cheats. Naruto grinned beneath his high collar. Hey, Kurama! Ready. A golden chakra arm erupted from Naruto's back. But it wasn't just a claw. It held a physical object, a device Naruto had built in the lab. A molecular destabilizer. While the Rasengan pinned the bot, the chakra arm jammed the device into the bot's neck joint. BZZT. The molecular bonds of the neck armor loosened. Rag! Naruto drove the Rasengan down. Metal shrieked. The head of the Prime Bot was ripped clean off. Naruto landed in a crouch, holding the sparking robotic head. The timer on the wall stopped. 0:43 remaining. Naruto stood up and tossed the head aside. He looked up at Doom. Too easy. Doom stared down. For a moment, he said nothing. Then, slow, rhythmic clapping echoed through the hall. Impressive, Doom said. You combine ninjutsu, sorcery, and technology seamlessly. You did not fight with anger, you fought with calculation. Doom turned and walked toward the exit of the balcony. Come to the armory, Naruto. It is time you looked the part. The new look. Naruto stood in front of a mirror in the armory. The orange jumpsuit was a memory. He now wore a bodysuit of gunmetal gray mesh armor, flexible but bulletproof. Over it, he wore a dark green tunic, similar to Doom's but shorter, allowing for movement. On his chest, the Uzumaki spiral was emblazoned in bright, defiant orange, the only piece of his old self he kept. He wore heavy combat boots and gauntlets plated with Latverian steel. A utility belt held scrolls, tech gadgets, and ration bars. But the most striking change was the cloak. It was high-collared, lined with fur, and deep crimson. It gave him a silhouette of royalty. Doom handed him a forehead protector. It was his old Konoha plate, but Doom had modified it. The metal was polished to a mirror sheen. The cloth was new, black and durable. You are no longer just a ninja of the leaf, Doom said. You are my emissary. You are the Iron Wolf of Latveria. Naruto tied the protector around his forehead. He looked at his reflection. The blue eyes were still there, but they were sharper, harder. The whiskers on his cheeks seemed more feral. I'm ready, Naruto said. Not yet, Doom corrected. You have strength. You have knowledge. But you lack experience in statecraft. You need a test of diplomacy and subterfuge. Doom walked to a holographic map of the world. He pointed to a small nation in Africa, hidden by a technological veil. Wakanda, Doom said. They possess a metal called vibranium. It is the only substance that rivals my own alloys. You want me to steal it? I want you to acquire a sample, Doom corrected. And I want you to do it without starting a war. The king, Chala, is a formidable warrior and a genius. He is the Black Panther. Doom turned to Naruto. This is your final exam, Naruto. Infiltrate Wakanda. Outsmart the Panther. Bring me the vibranium. Do this, and I will give you the device to return home. Naruto grinned. It was a sharp, dangerous grin. Consider it done. He turned on his heel, his cape swirling behind him. He walked with a purpose that shook the floor. He wasn't the boy who chased Sasuke anymore. He was the man who would force the world to listen. As he left the room, Kurama chuckled in his mind. This is going to be fun. Yeah, Naruto thought. Time to show the world what the will of iron looks like. The sky above the African continent was a tapestry of velvet black, pierced only by the cold, unblinking eyes of the stars. At 40,000 feet, the air was too thin to breathe, the temperature low enough to freeze exposed skin in seconds. Naruto Uzumaki sat on the edge of the open ramp of a stealth transport jet, his legs dangling over the abyss. He wore a pressurized high-altitude suit, matte black with green luminescent strips running along the limbs. His face was covered by a rebreather mask that hissed rhythmically, sounding like a mechanical heartbeat in the silence of the stratosphere. You are enjoying this too much, Kurama's voice rumbled in the back of his mind. The fox sounded bored, but there was a flicker of anticipation in his chakra. It's not about enjoyment, Kurama, Naruto thought back, checking the holographic display on his wrist gauntlet. It's about precision. Doom says a king must know how to enter a room without breaking the door down. Doom says a lot of things, usually involving him conquering something. He's not wrong, though. Not about this. Approaching drop zone, the pilot's voice, a Doom bot, crackled over the comms. Wakandan airspace perimeter in T-30 seconds. Engaging cloaking countermeasures. Be advised, the Wakandan detection grid is sophisticated. It utilizes sonic vibrations and vibranium-based resonance scanning. I know, Naruto said aloud, his voice distorted by the mask. I memorized the specs. He stood up, the magnetic locks in his boots disengaging from the ramp with a heavy clack. The wind whipped at his suit, but he didn't sway. 2 years of gravity training under Dr. Doom had given him a center of gravity that was practically immovable. Remember your objective, Naruto, Doom's voice cut into the channel. He wasn't on the plane. He was back in Latveria, watching through Naruto's helmet cam. The connection was instantaneous, routed through a quantum satellite network. I do not require a massacre. I require a sample. A raw ingot of vibranium, or the schematic for their sonic dampeners. Do not engage the Black Panther unless absolutely necessary. He is a monarch. Killing him would complicate geopolitical relations I am not yet ready to dismantle. And if he engages me? Naruto asked, stepping to the very edge. Then show him that a wolf does not fear a cat, Doom replied. But do not kill him. A martyr is harder to rule than a defeated man. Understood. Naruto leaned forward. Gravity took him. He plummeted into the dark. The freefall was silent. Naruto didn't flare his chakra. That would light him up on the sensors like a flare. Instead, he angled his body, using the micro-thrusters in his suit to correct his trajectory. Below him, the jungle looked like an endless ocean of black. But Naruto knew better. Hidden beneath a holographic camouflage barrier lay the Golden City. Burnin Zana, the most technologically advanced nation on Earth, disguised as a third-world country. It's like a hidden village, Naruto mused as the altimeter ticked down rapidly. Hidden in the leaves, hidden in the tech? Same difference. Just different tools. Approaching barrier threshold, his HUD warned in red text. Impact in 10. 9. The Wakandan barrier was a masterpiece. It wasn't just a wall. It was a solid light construct interwoven with hard sound frequencies. Hitting it at terminal velocity would liquefy a normal human. But Naruto wasn't normal, and he wasn't just human. Kurama, sync with the suit, Naruto ordered mentally. On it, Naruto extended his hands. From his gauntlets, tiny probes shot out, trailing filament wires. They struck the invisible dome a split second before he did. Analysis complete, the suit's AI chimed. Frequency 440.2 Hz. Modulating shields. Naruto flooded the suit's outer layer with wind-release chakra, vibrating it at the exact counter-frequency of the barrier. It was a technique Doom had theorized but never tested, phase shifting via elemental resonance. He hit the dome. There was no crash. No alarm. Just a ripple, like a stone dropped into a calm pond. Naruto passed through the hard light shield as if he were a ghost. As soon as he cleared the barrier, he deployed his chute, a silent, black paraglider foil. He drifted down toward the city lights, which were now visible in all their glory. It was breathtaking. Skyscrapers of glass and vibranium spiraled toward the sky, glowing with soft purple and orange lights. Maglev trains zipped silently between spires. It made Konoha look like a collection of mud huts. It made even Doomstadt look archaic in its gothic aesthetic. Target identified, Naruto whispered. The Great Mound. The vibranium mines. He steered toward the outskirts of the city, aiming for a darkened industrial sector near the extraction processing plant. He flared his chakra just enough to cushion his landing, touching down on a rooftop with the grace of a cat. He detached the chute, which dissolved into nanite dust to leave no evidence. I'm in, Naruto reported. Proceed, Doom commanded. You have 2 hours before the guard rotation shifts. Do not disappoint me. The infiltration was almost too easy at first, which made Naruto nervous. He moved through the shadows of the facility, bypassing electronic locks with the decryptor Doom had built, and bypassing physical guards with classic shinobi misdirection. A tossed pebble here, a subtle genjutsu cast on a patrolling guard there. He wasn't killing anyone. He was a ghost. This is boring, Kurama complained as Naruto hung upside down from a ceiling pipe, waiting for 2 Dora Milaje warriors to pass beneath him. Just blast them. You have the power to level this mountain. That's the old Naruto, he replied, dropping silently behind the guards once they turned the corner. The new Naruto knows that power isn't just about blowing things up. It's about control. He reached the main server room of the processing plant. If he couldn't get a physical ingot, the data on how they refined it was just as valuable. Naruto approached the console. It was a holographic interface, sophisticated and alien. Interface active, Naruto muttered, plugging a data spike from his gauntlet into the console. Beginning download. The progress bar appeared on his HUD. 2%. 5%. Intruder. The word wasn't shouted. It was spoken with calm, deadly authority. Naruto froze. He hadn't sensed anyone. No chakra. No sound. He turned slowly. Standing at the end of the corridor was a man clad in a sleek, black suit. The helmet was fashioned in the likeness of a panther, with silver accents around the neck. The eyes of the mask were narrow, white slits. T'Challa. King of Wakanda. The Black Panther. You are good, T'Challa said, walking forward. His steps made absolutely no sound. The vibranium soles of his suit absorbed all impact. You breached the barrier without triggering the alarms. You bypassed the Dora Milaje. You hacked a localized subnet. T'Challa stopped 10 meters away. But you smell of sulfur and ozone, the king noted. And there is a heartbeat in this room that does not belong. Naruto stood up fully, retracting the data spike. The download was paused at 45%. Enough for a partial schematic, but not the whole thing. King T'Challa, Naruto said, keeping his voice level. He bowed slightly, a mock gesture of respect. I didn't expect the monarch to be on night patrol. When a rat enters the house, the master of the house wakes, T'Challa replied. He retracted his claws. They were silver, gleaming, and made of anti-metal vibranium. Who sent you? Hydra? AIM? Or perhaps the American government has finally grown bold? None of the above, Naruto said. He shifted his stance, his feet widening. I'm just a student looking to complete an assignment. A student? T'Challa tilted his head. Then your teacher has failed you. He sent you to your death. T'Challa didn't telegraph his move. One moment he was standing there. The next, he was in the air, a black blur descending on Naruto. Naruto reacted on instinct. He didn't try to block. Doom had taught him that vibranium absorbed kinetic energy. Blocking would just break his arms. He dodged. Naruto twisted his body to the left, the claws raking the air where his chest had been a millisecond before. As T'Challa landed, Naruto lashed out with a leg sweep. T'Challa leaped over the sweep with impossible agility, flipping backward and landing on the wall. He pushed off instantly, turning himself into a kinetic bullet. Wind style, gale palm. Naruto shouted. He thrust his palms forward. A compressed blast of wind erupted, slamming into T'Challa midair. It should have blown him back through the door. Instead, the purple glow on the panther suit flared. The suit absorbed the impact of the wind, stored the kinetic energy, and T'Challa used it to accelerate through the blast. What? Naruto's eyes widened. T'Challa slammed into Naruto's chest first. The stored energy released in a shockwave of purple force. Boom! Naruto was launched backward. He crashed through the server banks, metal and glass shattering around him. He slammed into the far wall, denting the reinforced steel. Ugh! Naruto groaned, sliding to the floor. His chest plate was cracked. If not for the Kyuubi's passive healing and the armor plating, his ribs would be powder. Wind manipulation, T'Challa observed, walking through the wreckage of the servers. You are a mutant? Or perhaps an enhanced mutate? Naruto coughed, spitting a glob of blood onto the pristine white floor. He forced himself up. I'm a ninja, Naruto grinned, though it looked feral behind his mask. Ninja are myths and assassins, T'Challa said. You fight like a warrior, but you lack discipline. That's what Doom keeps saying, Naruto muttered. Doom? T'Challa stopped. The air in the room grew heavy. Victor Von Doom? You are a lackey of Latveria? Not a lackey, Naruto snapped. He stood tall, cracking his neck. I'm his successor. Then you are a threat to the entire world, T'Challa declared. The intent in his posture changed. He wasn't trying to capture anymore. He was trying to eliminate. Wakanda will never bow to Doom. I didn't ask you to bow, Naruto said. He reached into his pouch. I just need a passing grade. Naruto threw 3 smoke bombs. Poof! Thick purple smoke filled the room. It wasn't just visual cover. The smoke contained particulate matter that interfered with infrared sensors. Chala stood motionless in the cloud. His suit's sensors switched modes, scanning for heartbeats, for heat, for air displacement. He sensed movement to his right. He slashed. His claws passed through. Nothing. A hologram? Chala thought. Then, from the left. A punch. Chala caught the fist. But as soon as he touched it, the attacker dissolved into white smoke. A clone? Suddenly, the room was filled with them. 50 Narutos exploded from the smoke, filling the cramped server room. Let's go! The clones roared in unison. They swarmed the king. Chala was a whirlwind of efficiency. Every strike was precise. He dodged, weaved, and countered. Every time he destroyed a clone, he absorbed the kinetic energy of their strikes. His suit glowed brighter and brighter, a beacon of violet power. You cannot overwhelm me with numbers, Chala shouted, unleashing an omnidirectional pulse of stored energy. The shockwave vaporized 30 clones instantly. The remaining 20 were knocked off their feet. The real Naruto was hiding in the ceiling rafters, watching. Analyzing. He absorbs kinetic energy, Naruto thought, his mind racing through Doom's physics lectures. Every time I hit him, he gets stronger. Physical attacks are useless. Wind style just feeds him energy unless it's cutting, and I can't cut vibranium. Use the Bijudama, Kurama suggested. Vaporize him. Too loud. Too messy. And the suit might absorb the thermal energy too. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Vibranium is a metal. It has a lattice structure. It stabilizes energy. But every metal has a resonance point. A frequency where it becomes unstable. Doom had made him memorize the periodic table of Marvel elements. Vibranium was stable, but it was susceptible to sonic frequencies. That was how the railway system in the city worked. Sonic stabilizers. I need sound. Loud, focused sound. Naruto dropped from the ceiling. He landed in the center of the room, dismissing the remaining clones. Chala stood amidst the carnage of the server room, his suit glowing dangerously. Have you run out of tricks, boy? Chala asked. Just getting started, Naruto said. He ripped off his damaged chest plate, revealing the mesh armor underneath. He took a deep breath. He didn't form a Rasengan. He didn't draw a kunai. He began to channel chakra into his throat. Not fire. Not water. Wind. But he vibrated it. He compressed the air in his vocal cords, reinforcing them with Kurama's chakra so they wouldn't tear apart. It was a technique he had seen a sound ninja use once, long ago. Doom had helped him refine it into a weapon of mass destruction. Ninja art, great roaring echo, Naruto screamed. But it wasn't a normal scream. It was a focused beam of high-frequency sonic waves. It looked like a distortion in the air, a tunnel of rippling reality shooting straight at Chala. The sound was deafening. Glass in the windows shattered. The metal walls groaned. Chala braced himself, raising his arms in an X. He expected an impact. But sound doesn't impact, it permeates. The sonic wave hit the vibranium suit. The molecules of the metal, usually so efficient at absorbing kinetic blows, began to vibrate uncontrollably. They couldn't absorb sound in the same way they absorbed a punch. The suit's weave began to destabilize. Arg! Chala cried out, falling to one knee. The purple glow of his suit flickered erratically. The feedback loop was frying the suit's neural interface. He clutched his helmet, the noise disorienting his equilibrium. Turn it up! Naruto yelled internally, pouring more chakra into the scream. The Black Panther was paralyzed. The suit locked up, the nanites confused by the sonic assault. Naruto cut the scream abruptly. The silence that followed was ringing and heavy. Chala slumped forward, his suit completely powered down, the glowing lights extinguished. He breathed heavily, trying to reboot his systems. Naruto didn't hesitate. He surged forward. He didn't punch. He slapped a sealing tag onto Chala's chest. Fuinjutsu, lightning paralysis seal, yellow sparks arc over the panther habit. Chala groaned as his muscles locked up, the seal interfering with his nervous system. Naruto stood over the king of Wakanda. He was panting, his throat raw. You fight with honor, Chala rasped, struggling against the paralysis. But you serve a devil. I serve the future, Naruto said, his voice hoarse. He walked past Chala to the main server. The download was still paused. But Naruto didn't need the download anymore. He saw a display case on the far wall. Inside, floating in a magnetic field, was a raw chunk of refined vibranium, the heart of the mountain. Naruto smashed the glass with his elbow. He grabbed the ingot. It was surprisingly light. Stop, Chala commanded, though his voice was weak. You do not know what that metal can do in Doom's hands. He will build weapons to enslave nations. Naruto paused, holding the glowing blue metal. He looked at Chala. He already has weapons, Naruto said quietly. He doesn't need this to conquer the world. He needs this to protect it. Protect it? Chala scoffed. From whom? From things that come from the sky, Naruto said, looking up, thinking of the Otsutsuki. Thinking of the Chitauri invasions Doom had shown him in history books. From chaos. Naruto pocketed the ingot into a storage scroll. Kill me, Chala said. If you leave me alive, I will hunt you. I will come for Doom. I will bring the might of Wakanda to Latveria's gates. Naruto looked down at the king. He drew a kunai. Chala didn't flinch. He stared into the mask of the Iron Wolf. Naruto crouched down. He brought the kunai close to Chala's neck. Then, he cut the wire of the paralysis tag. Chala blinked, the electricity fading. He could move again. But he was confused. Why? Chala asked. Because you're a good leader, Naruto said, standing up. My teacher told me to leave you broken. To make sure you couldn't retaliate. But I want to be a Hokage someday. A leader of a village. And I know that if someone killed me, my village would burn the world down to avenge me. But if I spare you, maybe you'll realize that not everyone in Latveria is a monster. Naruto walked toward the hole in the wall he had created earlier. If you attack Latveria, we will be ready, Naruto said, his back turned. But it doesn't have to be that way. We could be allies. Think about it. There is no alliance with Doom, Chala said, standing up, his suit rebooting. But perhaps, there is respect for his student. Naruto glanced back over his shoulder. He pulled down his mask, revealing his whisker-marked face and a genuine, sunny grin, the first one he had worn in a long time. Name's Naruto Uzumaki. Remember it. Naruto leaped out of the hole, into the night. By the time Chala reached the opening, the boy was gone. A gust of wind was the only sign he had ever been there. Latveria. The throne room. Naruto knelt on one knee, his head bowed. The chunk of vibranium sat on a velvet pillow in front of him. Dr. Doom stood over it, examining the metal with a critical eye. He picked it up, weighing it. Pure, Doom murmured. Refined. This is excellent quality. He handed the metal to a nearby Doombot, which scurried away to the labs. Doom turned his attention to Naruto. Report, Doom commanded. Mission accomplished, Naruto said. Infiltrated via halo drop. Bypassed the sonic barrier using wind resonance. Hack was interrupted by the Black Panther. Engaged in combat. And the Panther? Doom asked. Is he dead? No. Doom's silence was deafening. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Explain, Doom's voice was low, dangerous. He's the king, Naruto said, looking up. The people of Wakanda love him. If I killed him, I would have turned a technological superpower into a fanatical enemy. They wouldn't have stopped until they nuked us. By sparring him, I showed strength and mercy. I showed them we aren't barbarians. I did not ask for your political analysis, Doom snapped. I asked for a neutralized threat. He is neutralized, Naruto argued, standing up. I beat him. I overloaded his suit with a sonic scream. He knows he can't beat me one-on-one. Fear is a better deterrent than martyrdom. Doom stared at Naruto. The green lenses of his mask glowed intensely. Naruto held his ground. 2 years ago, he would have cowered. Now, he stared back. He had faced a king and won. He wasn't afraid of his teacher anymore. Slowly, Doom nodded. You disobeyed a direct order, Doom said. But your logic is sound. A war with Wakanda at this juncture would be inconvenient. And you secured the prize. Doom turned and walked back to his throne. You have passed, Naruto. Naruto let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. So, I can go home? Almost, Doom said. You have proven your skill. You have proven your intellect. But you cannot return to your world looking like a scavenger. Doom pressed a button on his throne. The floor in front of the dais opened up. A pedestal rose. On it stood a suit of armor. It was magnificent. It wasn't bulky like Doom's. It was sleek, designed for speed and agility, heavily inspired by the ANBU armor of Konoha but elevated by Latverian's science. The plating was a matte gray alloy, a mix of titanium and the vibranium Naruto had just stolen. Doom had apparently had reserves or synthetics ready, waiting only for the pure sample to catalyze the final alloy. The chest plate was reinforced, bearing the Uzumaki spiral and glowing orange plasma. The gauntlets were thick, housing micro-missiles, energy shield projectors, and chakra amplifiers. The boots contained gravity stabilizers for flight, and the mask. It was a fusion of a fox and a machine. Angular, predatory, with slit eyes that glowed with a chaotic red light. It had a hood of orange reinforced fabric attached to a gray cloak. The Mark I Karama armor, Doom announced. It is powered by a micro-fusion reactor that runs on your chakra. It amplifies your jutsu by 300%. It has life support, multi-spectrum vision, and is capable of interdimensional comms. Doom walked down and placed a hand on the shoulder of the armor. You came to me a boy in rags. You leave as a warlord in iron. Naruto walked up to the armor. He ran his hand over the cold metal. He could feel the hum of it. It felt like power. Put it on, Doom ordered. Naruto stepped into the armor. It assembled around him automatically, plates locking into place with satisfying mechanical hisses. The HUD flared to life, inundating him with tactical data. He felt Karama stir, the fox's chakra merging with the suit's reactor. The red eyes of the mask flared. Naruto clenched his fist. He felt like he could punch a hole through the moon. How does it feel? Doom asked. Naruto turned to his master. His voice, modulated by the helmet, came out deep and metallic, carrying the growl of a beast. It feels, Naruto said, like I'm ready to change the world. Good, Doom said. He produced a small, cube-shaped device. A tesseract shard encased in glass. This is the dimensional bridge. I have calibrated it to the energy signature of your Rasengan clash. Doom handed the cube to Naruto. Go home, Naruto Uzumaki. Conquer your village. Unite your nations. Show them that the will of fire is easily extinguished, but the will of iron lasts forever. Naruto took the cube. He bowed low to Dr. Doom. Thank you, Master. Do not thank me. Doom turned away, his cape swirling. Make me proud. Naruto activated the cube. Space twisted. A portal of blue and black energy swirled open in the throne room. Through it, Naruto could smell the damp air of a forest. He could smell rain. He could smell home. With a burst of thrusters, the iron fox shot into the portal. The portal closed. Doom stood alone in the silence of his castle. He looked at the empty spot where his student had stood. He will be better than me, Doom whispered to the empty room. Or he will die trying. The elemental nations. The land of waves. It was raining. It was always raining in this miserable country. The Great Naruto Bridge, named ironically, considering the boy was presumed dead, was a wreck. Gang graffiti covered the signs. The tolls were manned by thugs with swords, demanding exorbitant fees from starving travelers. Gato's business empire hadn't died with him. It had fractured into a dozen smaller, crueler gangs that picked the carcass of the land of waves clean. In the mud of a small village near the bridge, an old man was being beaten. Where is the money, old man? A thug with a scarred face shouted, kicking the man in the ribs. Tazuna! We know you have a stash. Tazuna curled into a ball, coughing blood. I have nothing. You took it all. Liar! The thug raised a heavy club. Maybe if we break your granddaughter's legs, you'll remember. In the doorway of Tazuna's house, Tsunami screamed, holding a crying Inari back. Please! Tsunami begged. Leave us alone. Shut up, woman! Another thug grabbed her by the hair. The scarred thug swung the club down at Tazuna's head. It was a killing blow. Boom! A shockwave of air blasted the thug backward. He flew 50 feet, skipping like a stone across the muddy ground before smashing into a tree. The other thugs froze. The rain hissed. What the? The thug holding Tsunami let go, backing away. Smoke cleared from the impact point. Standing between Tazuna and the gang was a figure. He was clad in gray and orange armor that looked like nothing this world had ever seen. Raindrops sizzled as they hit his energy shields. The red eyes of his fox mask glowed in the gloom. The figure didn't draw a weapon. He didn't weave signs. He simply stood there, radiating an aura of terrifying pressure. Who are you? A thug stammered, pulling a knife. You want a piece of this? The armored figure turned his head. A mechanical voice, cold and devoid of mercy, echoed from the mask. I am the cure for this disease, the Iron Fox said. He raised a hand. The gauntlet hummed with a high-pitched whine. A repulsive blast of condensed blue chakra built up in the palm. And you are the infection. Flash. The night turned white, and for the first time in years, the land of waves saw hope. But it wasn't the warm hope of a sun. It was the cold, hard hope of iron. Naruto Uzumaki had returned. The repulsor blast had faded, but the silence it left behind was deafening. The rain in the land of waves was eternal, a gray curtain that turned the world into a sludge of mud and misery. But for a moment, the downpour seemed to hesitate, boiling into steam around the armored figure standing amidst the wreckage of the forest clearing. The thug who had been hit was gone. Not dead, perhaps, but certainly no longer part of the conversation. He had been launched through 2 pines and was currently groaning in a heap of broken limbs 50 yards away. The remaining 4 bandits stared. Their brains, dulled by cheap sake and easy violence, struggled to process the entity before them. It wasn't a ninja. Ninja wore flak jackets and sandals. This thing was made of metal and nightmares. It stood 6 feet tall, encased in angular plating of gunmetal gray and vibrant orange. The face was a stylized fox mask, sleek and robotic, with eyes that burned like red coals. Demon! One of the bandits whispered, his sword shaking in his hand. Inside the helmet, the heads-up display, HUD, of the Mark I armor painted the world in streams of tactical data. Target analysis, the system droned, a synthetic voice layered over Kurama's grumble. 4 hostiles. Threat level, negligible. Weapons, low-grade steel, oxidized. Chakra levels, civilian standard. They are barely worth the energy consumption, Kurama noted, curling up in the mental scape. Step on them and be done with it. No, Naruto thought, his eyes tracking the heart rates of the men via thermal imaging. We make an example. Order is established through the spectacle of power. Naruto took a step forward. The heavy boot, reinforced with gravity stabilizers, crunched into the mud with the sound of a hydraulic press. You have 5 seconds, Naruto's voice emerged from the helmet's external speakers. It was deep, modulated to a subharmonic frequency that vibrated in the listener's chest. Drop your weapons. Kneel, or be dismantled. Get him! The leader screamed, panic overriding self-preservation. He's just one guy. Rush him, the 4 men charged. It was a clumsy, desperate assault. Naruto didn't even raise his hands. Jarvis. Defense protocol, repulsion field. Delta 3. Affirming. As the bandits swung their swords, Naruto's armor hummed. A bubble of translucent orange energy expanded from his suit with the force of a thunderclap. Crack. The sword shattered upon contact with the barrier. The kinetic energy of the impact was instantly redirected. The bandits were thrown backward as if hit by a speeding carriage, tumbling into the mud, gasping for air. Naruto deactivated the field. He walked over to the leader, who was crawling backward, eyes wide with terror. Please, the man stammered. We're with the Gato Syndicate. You can't touch us. The boss will. Naruto reached down. The servos in his gauntlet whined as he grabbed the man by the collar and lifted him one-handed, feet dangling a foot off the ground. Gato is dead, Naruto said coldly. And his ghost has no power here anymore. Naruto tossed the man aside like a ragdoll. He turned his gaze to the house. Tazuna the bridge builder sat in the mud, clutching his bruised ribs. Beside him, Tsunami shielded her eyes from the glare of the armor's arc reactor. And behind them, a teenage boy with dark hair stood holding a kitchen knife, shaking. Inari. Naruto deactivated the faceplate. With a hiss of depressurizing seals, the fox mask retracted, folding neatly into the collar of the suit. The face revealed was not the soft, round face of the prankster they remembered. The jaw was square, the cheekbones sharp. 3 whisker marks still adorned each cheek, but they looked more like tribal scars now. His blonde hair was shorter, cropped in a military style. But the eyes, the blue eyes, were harder than steel. "Yo," Naruto said. The casual greeting clashed violently with his appearance. Tazuna's mouth fell open. He squinted through his cracked glasses. "And Naruto? It's been a while, old man," Naruto said. He didn't smile. "We thought you were dead," Tsunami cried out, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "After the news about Sasuke, Kakashi-san said you vanished?" "They searched for months. I did die," Naruto said, looking at his gloved hands. "The idiot brat who ran headfirst into traps died in a valley. I'm what survived." Inari stepped forward, lowering the knife. He looked at the armor, then at Naruto's face. "You came back. You came back to save us. You're a hero." Naruto looked at Inari. He saw the hope in the boy's eyes. It annoyed him. "I am not a hero, Inari," Naruto corrected sharply. "Heroes react. Heroes fight fires. I am here to ensure the fire never starts." Naruto looked up at the sky. The rain was getting heavier. "Get inside," he commanded. "I have work to do." The war room, Tazuna's kitchen. The house was smaller than Naruto remembered. Or perhaps he had just grown used to the cavernous halls of Castle Doom. He sat at the wooden table, his armor clanking softly against the chair. He had removed the gauntlets, placing them on the table like weapons of war. Tsunami placed a cup of tea in front of him with trembling hands. "So," Naruto said, taking a sip. "Sitrep. What is the status of the country?" Tazuna sighed, lighting a cigarette with shaking fingers. "It's hell, kid. After Gato died, we thought things would get better. We finished the bridge, but with no daimyo and no ninja protection, the power vacuum just sucked in every piece of trash from the water country. Gangs," Inari spat. "Warlords. They charge tolls on the bridge so high nobody can use it. They raid our supplies. We're starving, Naruto. We can't trade. We can't fish." "Inefficient," Naruto murmured. "Inefficient?" Tazuna blinked. "It's tyranny. It's chaos," Naruto corrected. "Tyranny implies a structure. This is anarchy." "Who is the strongest faction?" "A man named Zanzo," Tazuna said. "A missing nin from the hidden mist. He took over Gato's old fortress. He has about 300 men. Samurai, mercenaries, rouge ninja. They control the ports." Naruto tapped the table. A holographic map projected from his wrist unit, hovering in the air above the teacups. Tazuna jumped back. "Sorcery. Technology," Naruto said absently. "Jarvis, overlay thermal satellite data of the region. Isolate heat signatures concentrated in Sector 4. Processing." The map zoomed in on a large compound on the cliffs. Red dots swarmed inside it. 300 men, Naruto mused. "And the civilian population?" "About 10,000 spread across the islands," Tazuna said, staring at the hologram in awe. "Mostly farmers and fishermen." Naruto nodded. He stood up. "Inari," Naruto said. "Go to the village square. Ring the bell." "Why?" Inari asked. "To warn them? To wake them up," Naruto said, latching his gauntlets back on. The metal clicked into place with a sound of finality. "Tell them to stay in their homes. Tell them that tonight, the storm has teeth." "Where are you going?" Tsunami asked, fearful. Naruto walked to the door. The fox mask slid over his face, the eyes glowing red once more. "I am going to perform a pest control operation." The fortress of Zanzo. The fortress, once Gato's opulent mansion, had been militarized. Walls of timber and scrap metal fortified the perimeter. Searchlights swept the grounds. In the main hall, Zanzo the butcher sat on a throne made of stolen crates. He was a massive man, his skin pale and teeth filed to points, typical of the mist. A massive cleaver sword rested by his side. "Boss!" A scout burst into the room, dripping wet. "Sector 7 patrol is down." "All of them?" Zanzo frowned, biting into a leg of roast chicken. "Rival gang? The Red Anchors?" "No. They didn't say. The radio just went dead. All we heard was a humming sound." Zanzo stood up, grabbing his sword. Useless idiots. Probably got drunk and fell off a cliff. Send the elite squad to check it out. We can't, the scout stammered. Why not? Because, the scout pointed to the window. There's something in the courtyard. Zanzo walked to the window and looked out. In the center of the muddy courtyard, under the pouring rain, stood a single figure. A gray and orange armored warrior, cape billowing in the wind. One man? Zanzo laughed. Archers. Turn him into a pincushion. 50 men on the walls drew bows and crossbows. Fire! A cloud of arrows blackened the sky, descending on Naruto. Inside the armor, Naruto didn't flinch. Projectile trajectory analysis complete. Impact probability, 100%. Deploy active measure, wind barrier, Naruto commanded calmly. He didn't use a hand seal. The vents on his shoulder pauldrons opened. High-pressure wind, accelerated by chakra turbines, blasted outward. The arrows hit the wind wall and were shredded instantly, splinters raining down harmlessly around him. My turn, Naruto whispered. He reached into a scroll pouch on his belt. He pulled out a large, black scroll with the Latvian royal crest, a stylized eagle, mixed with the Uzumaki spiral. He unfurled it. It was 10 feet long. Summoning Jutsu, the Iron Legion. He slammed his hand onto the scroll. It wasn't a puff of smoke. It was a distortion of space. The scroll acted as a beacon for a teleportation array linked back to his workshop in Castle Doom. Tum. 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 Heavy impacts shook the ground. From the distortion, figures marched out. They were 7 feet tall. Mechanical. Their armor was styled like traditional samurai oyoroi, but made of sleek, dark polymer. Their faces were faceless visors glowing green. They carried naginatas that crackled with electric plasma. 30 of them. What is this? Zanzo whispered, the color draining from his face. Puppets? Naruto pointed at the fortress. Secure the perimeter. Lethal force authorized for armed combatants. Containment protocol for surrender. Begin. The Doombot samurai, or Narutobots, as he privately called them, moved with terrifying speed. They surged forward, their hydraulic legs chewing up the ground. The gate guards tried to fight. Spears shattered against the robot armor. One bot swung its plasma naginata, slicing through a steel shield and the man behind it like butter. Monster! Someone screamed. Naruto engaged his thrusters. He shot into the air, flying over the walls and landing on the balcony directly in front of Zanzo. Glass shattered as Naruto walked through the window into the main hall. Zanzo backed away, his men forming a circle around him. Who are you? Zanzo roared, brandishing his cleaver. I am a demon of the mist. You think a tin man scares me? Demon? Naruto's mechanical voice scoffed. I room with a demon. You are just a bully with a big knife. Kill him. 12 elite mercenaries charged. Naruto didn't draw a weapon. He used magic. Crimson bands of Sidorak, red bands of mystical energy erupted from his fingertips. They weren't chakra chains. They were constructs of dimensional energy. The bands lashed out, wrapping around the mercenaries. Titan. The bands constricted. Bones snapped. Weapons dropped. The 12 men were lifted into the air and slammed into the walls, pinned like insects. Zanzo roared, channeling water chakra. Water style. Water shark bomb. A massive shark of water materialized from the moisture in the air, rushing at Naruto with crushing force. Naruto stood his ground. He held up his right hand. The palm glowed with a nullification seal he had engineered. Energy siphon, active. The water shark hit Naruto's hand and dissolved. The water lost its cohesion, splashing harmlessly onto the floor, while the chakra that fueled it was sucked into the suit's capacitors. Battery charge, 110%, Jarvis chimed. My turn, Naruto repeated. He vanished. Body flicker technique amplified by thrusters. He reappeared instantly in front of Zanzo. Zanzo tried to swing his sword. Naruto caught the blade with one hand. The vibranium alloy of the gauntlet didn't even scratch. Naruto squeezed. Crunch. The massive steel blade shattered into shards. Naruto grabbed Zanzo by the throat and lifted him up. Your reign is over, Naruto said. The land of waves is now under new management. You can't. Zanzo gasped, clawing at the metal hand. The other villages. Kiri, they won't let you. Let them come, Naruto said. I need the target practice. Naruto threw Zanzo through the wall. The warlord tumbled out into the courtyard, landing in the mud at the feet of the samurai Dumbats, who had finished pacifying the remaining 300 men. The courtyard was littered with groaning bodies. Not dead, but broken. Naruto walked out onto the balcony, his cape heavy with rain. He looked down at the carnage. It was precise. Efficient. Secure the prisoners, Naruto ordered his legion. Prepare the labor camps. They broke this country. They will rebuild it. The morning after, the storm had broken. The sun rose over a land of waves that was fundamentally different than it had been 24 hours ago. The villagers gathered at the foot of the great bridge. They were terrified. Rumors had spread like wildfire during the night. The gangs were gone. A metal demon had eaten them. Naruto stood at the entrance to the bridge. He was out of his armor now, wearing his gray military tunic and black pants. His cloak hung from his shoulders. He looked regal, but approachable. Behind him stood a phalanx of his samurai bots, standing perfectly still. Tazuna stood beside him, looking nervous. They're scared of you, kid, Tazuna whispered. Good, Naruto said. Fear keeps them listening. Actions will earn their loyalty. Naruto stepped up onto a crate. He amplified his voice with a small wind jutsu. People of waves. The crowd flinched. For years you have lived like rats, Naruto began. He didn't sugarcoat it. You have allowed parasites to bleed you dry. You prayed for Konoha to save you. You prayed for the mist. Nobody came. He looked at them. I am not here to save you. I am here to lead you. Last night, I removed the cancer that was killing this island. The gangs are gone. Their wealth has been seized. Naruto gestured to the bridge. It was still unfinished in the middle, a gaping hole where construction had stalled due to lack of funds. You call this the Great Naruto Bridge, Naruto said. It is a symbol of a promise I made when I was a child. But promises don't carry cargo. Engineering does. Naruto turned to the bridge. Watch. He clapped his hands together. It wasn't a ninjutsu seal. It was an alchemical clap, a technique Doom had stolen from a dimension of alchemists. He slammed his hands onto the stone of the bridge. Blue lightning arced across the structure. The ground rumbled. Transmutation. From the piles of scrap metal, stone, and timber lying around the construction site, materials began to fly. They didn't just fly. They melted, reshaped, and flowed like liquid. The villagers gasped. Is that magic? It's a miracle! Under Naruto's guidance, the stone fused. The steel girders knitted themselves together. In a matter of minutes, the gap in the bridge was closed. But he didn't stop there. He reinforced the supports. He smoothed the road. He raised archways engraved with protective runes. When the blue light faded, the bridge was whole. It was pristine. Naruto stood up, brushing dust from his hands. He turned back to the crowd. The bridge is open, Naruto declared. Trade will flow. Food will come. He pointed a finger at the crowd. But hear this. This protection comes with a price. I am not a Democrat. I do not ask for your vote. I ask for your work. You will follow my laws. You will pay your taxes. You will send your children to the schools I build, not to learn how to swing swords, but to learn science. Mathematics. Engineering. Naruto's eyes swept over them. Give me your obedience, and I will give you a future where no bandit will ever dare step foot on this island again. Do you accept? There was silence. Then, Inari stepped forward. He looked at the bridge, then at Naruto. Inari fell to his knees and bowed his head to the ground. We accept, Lord Naruto. Slowly, one by one, then in waves, the people of the village knelt. Tazuna watched, a strange mix of pride and unease in his heart. The prankster was gone. The king had arrived. Rise, Naruto commanded. We have work to do. 1 week later, the transformation was rapid. With the Dumbats providing labor and security, and Naruto's clones handling administration, the land of waves was modernizing at a terrifying pace. The gangs were in chain gangs, paving roads. The port was being dredged. Naruto sat in his office in the newly renovated fortress, now dubbed Castle Uzumaki. He was looking at a report on rice yields. Lord Naruto, a mechanical voice interrupted. A Doombot stepped in. Priority alert. 2 high-level chakra signatures detected entering the country via the western coastline. Naruto looked up. Identify. Signatures match entries in the bingo book. Kisame Hashigaki and Itachi Uchiha. Naruto froze. Itachi. The man who tortured Sasuke. The reason Sasuke sought power. The reason everything went wrong. And Kisame. The tailed beast without a tail. Naruto stood up, walking to the window. He looked out at his kingdom. It was gray, industrial, and safe. They're coming for the 9 tails, Naruto whispered. Let them come, Kurama snarled, his chakra boiling. I have been itching to test this armor against the Akatsuki. Naruto picked up his helmet from the desk. He looked at the reflection in the red eyes. They expect a Jinchuriki, Naruto said, putting the helmet on. The systems engaged with a hiss. They expect a ninja. He clenched his armored fist. Let's show them what happens when you hunt a wolf in his own den. Naruto activated the comms. Unit 1 through 10. Prepare the anti-chakra cages. Protocol Godkiller. I'm going hunting. He walked out to the balcony and took off, a streak of orange fire against the gray sky. The coastline. Itachi Uchiha and Kisame Hashigaki walked along the water's edge. Their cloaks with red clouds flapped in the wind. This place has changed, Kisame grinned, showing his shark teeth. Last I heard, it was a dump. Now look at it. Paved roads? Patrol drones? Itachi looked up at a surveillance drone hovering silently above the tree line. He activated his Sharingan. It is unusual, Itachi said quietly. The atmosphere is heavy. There is a rigid order here. You think the Kyuubi brat is here? Kisame asked. Seems a bit high-tech for him. He's an idiot, remember? People change, Kisame. Suddenly, the drone flashed red. Warning. Restricted area. Turning back is mandatory, the drone announced. Annoying, Kisame muttered. He swung Samahata, smashing the drone into scrap metal. That was unwise, Itachi said. Why? It's just a toy. Because a deep, metallic voice echoed from the sky. It was my toy. Boom. Naruto landed 10 meters in front of them. The impact cracked the bedrock. He stood to his full height, the cape settling around him, the fox mask staring them down. Kisame blinked. Who's the robot? Bounty hunter? I am the lord of this land, Naruto said. And you are trespassing, Akatsuki? Itachi narrowed his eyes. That voice, and that chakra signature. It feels like Naruto Uzumaki, Itachi deduced. Naruto reached up and unsealed the helmet. It retracted, revealing his face. He looked Itachi dead in the eye. He didn't look away. Doom's mental training held firm. Hello, Itachi, Naruto said smoothly. I've been waiting for you. You've grown, Kisame laughed, hoisting Samahata onto his shoulder. And you got yourself a fancy suit. Trying to hide that you're just a scared little kid. Scared? Naruto tilted his head. No. I'm just efficient. Naruto snapped his fingers. From the water around them, 6 samurai Doombots rose, surrounding the Akatsuki members. Their spears glowed with plasma. Surrender, Naruto said. Or I will mount your heads on my bridge. Kisame's grin widened. Oh, I like him. Can I eat him, Itachi? Itachi stared at Naruto, his Sharingan spinning. He sensed something wrong. The boy's mind was a fortress. The suit was radiating energy that wasn't just chakra. Be careful, Kisame, Itachi warned. He is not what he was. Let's find out. Kisame roared, charging forward. Naruto's mask slid back into place. Combat mode engaged. Welcome to Latveria, Naruto said.